We're recording, guys?
Yeah, we keep going.
Are we really?
We keep recording.
Okay. Javi, welcome to the podcast. For the first time, not Danny Eldridge with me. Welcome. This podcast episode is about the fact that we are doing two different disciplines, but we have the same passion for them, I believe. I think this goes for all the disciplines of skating, that if you're really, really into it, you're going to find that passion or something, some drive inside you that allows you to ultimately excel at it and be really good. And today I am honestly excited to hear what you consider, that passion for you and how you found that in order to just be incredibly good at skating. I also have no idea what discipline specifically you're doing, so you got to start by, maybe introduce yourself.
Thank you, Viktor. I'm also very excited to be here today. So the discipline I practice is aggressive inline skating, or roller freestyle, also is known like this. And we use a different skate, this more a wider boot, like the wheels are smaller. And what we do is we practice on the street and also on the skate park. And we do many tricks like jump, very similar to skateboarding, but on skates. And you can do also grinding. And for the ones that don't know, grinding is a concept we use in extreme sport that we slide on different surfaces. Have you seen this before?
Yeah? I reckon that.
Okay, so can you explain me a little about your discipline?
Yeah, it's about the exact opposite. We like even surfaces. Inline skating, speed skating, it's basically about who can go the fastest, kind of. So mostly we do pack-style races where, the goal is really just to get across the finish line the first. So, of course, you're going to be in good shape. You got to have fitness, or you got to have top speed if you're a sprinter. So it depends on the distances. We do everything from a single lap to marathons or even 100-kilometer skates. So it's not just about being fast. It's also going to be about being efficient and good at moving around the packs. But there's definitely no stunts whatsoever. So I think that's crazy to hear about. I'm not going to lie. I've seen you skate and it gets me a little nervous every time. Like, oh, that's definitely going to end in a crash. So to me, it's mind-blowing how you control your skates in a completely different way, where I control them in a way where I feel like I can get more speed out of them and feel where I put the pressure, but not in the same wild maneuverability that you have.
Okay. Can I ask you, how did you start it?
I think I started because I was not the biggest kid in school. I'm Danish. Growing up in Denmark, they play handball or soccer, but I was not a quick runner. I was not a big dude. But I found skating to be super interesting because it's very technical. If you put in the time, you can figure it out. And I thought that was such a cool aspect to a sport. And then, that took me through basically 50 years of inline skating. And then I switched to ice skating in order to make it to the Olympics. And then, yeah.
That's great. I never tried ice skating.
No?
No. But, for me, I started when I was 18. And I was in the street one day and I saw some guys grinding a ledge. And I thought, oh, my God, this is so cool. I would like to learn to do this. So I finally found the skates. My first skates were the TRX Access of Rollerblade.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited also to be part of the team after many years of skating. And I fell in love with and obsessed at the same time with learning tricks. And at the beginning, I remember the first time I did a drop-in from a ball with the skate, I fell so hard that I thought I would never do this again. But then I stood up and I realized that I was okay. And I continue. I bought the protections, like the helmet, very important, the knee pads, and I start learning step by step.
So that was actually the next thing I was wondering, what's the reason you do it? What is it that you find to be your motivation in the sport? But is that thing constantly improving, kind of?
Yeah, I think so. And also when I started in Chile, I'm from Chile, there were no more girls in the sport. So for me, this was like a challenge to show to myself that I was able to do something that only guys can do. So I really enjoy it. And I got the first sponsor, a small shop, and they invited me to be part of the team. So I start traveling. And when I remember my first big contest was in Ecuador. When I arrived there were no more girls. And I realized that if I wanted to compete, I had to do it with guys. So I thought, the first thing I thought it was, I'm going to sit and watch them and learn from them. But then I realized that I came from Chile, I made it to Ecuador, I will do it anyway. And I finished third place in the beginners with the guys. So I wasn't that bad as I thought. How was your first competition? Do you remember?
I do remember. Not the same success.
Okay.
I remember this because my dad went with me. My dad, I mean, he's been skating as a kid, but hasn't done anything as an adult. And I was still pretty new in the sport. I think I was like 7, 8 years old. It was like 4 or 5 kilometers. And all I remember is that my dad pushed me across the line. And I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. But honestly, I can relate to what you said, even though we do different things. But I have the same sort of motivation that I find like, well, it's as much the journey, like that feeling of improving, trying to figure it out. It's almost like a puzzle. I was like, what do I have to do to improve these things? I'm sure you can relate, like the better you get, the harder it is to improve. But that's also where it becomes more interesting to do that, like search, like where can I go from here? What can I, like what, stones can I flip in order to make another jump?
I can tell you also that for me, I had a very difficult childhood. So for me, like finding the skating was something like really helped me to move to see my life in another way. You know, I started to feel stronger. My problems were not that important anymore, and I just wanted to have fun, and I didn't see myself as a victim anymore. So that is why I really learned how to work in my mindset. Yeah. And when I have a contest, now I do many things like meditations, breath work, and this really helped. Do you do something for your contest?
I mean, I have a lot of like routines, both physically, also mentally. Just, I think that's a cool thing about, like I said, there's to a certain degree, like, all right, now you can't train anymore. Like everybody that, especially when you make it to the real big events, it's not like, oh, I can just train a little harder than everybody else, because everybody there will train as hard as they can. And I think that's one thing, when I realized that, it pushed me to like, well, then I got to improve on my mindset, improve my nutrition, improve my recovery methods. So definitely do that, like sports psychologist and just trying different things out. Like I think a lot of it for me is like, what mindset do I have going into a race? Because the things I do, like I know you do several rounds, whereas for me, I have one race.
Just one shot.
That's it.
Wow.
So like, and it's a short event. Even a 5 kilometer only takes about 6 minutes in speed skating. It's like, it's not as during that race that I'm like, oh, I feel a little good, I feel a little bad. It's like the way you start that race, almost it's mentally feels like a sprint. So you got to have the right mindset going into it.
How do you prepare yourself for each contest?
I think for me, it really comes down to confidence. Okay. Like if I'm confident going into it, all I have in my mind is like, well, now I'm just going to see how well I can skate, how fast I can skate. And the second I let doubt, get into that, then it doesn't work out. So one thing I really like to do is that leading up to a competition, I make everything as much as I can so that it imitates the race conditions. Okay. It's like I put the same suit on, I tie the skates the same way, I sharpen my blades if it's on ice, I flip my wheels the same way on inlines. And I just think that puts me in a position where like I get to the line super chill. And probably the best example I remember from my first Olympics was that my childhood coach that I still talk to, he was the one I think kind of made me believe I could get good. He called me that day before the race and just told me like, it was all about having fun, right?
That's very important.
I think a lot of elite athletes oversee that because you're so focused on all the things you got to do right that sometimes you get like, I've done this a million times in practice. Like I know exactly how to do this. So you go in there a little stressed about it. I don't think it'll make you any worse to just relax a little more. Nobody's going to start and like, oh, I forgot to skate. My bad. How to skate?
Exactly.
I don't know. What do you do to get the right?
The contest I participate are a little different than yours. So we have normally 2 possibilities. At the beginning, we always do like a classification and they organize heats. So you have like 2 tries to try to build a line with different tricks in different spots. Yeah. And they evaluate our style, the difficulty, and the consistency. So if you fall, you lose points. Yeah. So you have to be a little intelligent, having a little strategy to do the things you really know at the beginning. So in that way, you know that you go to the finals. And then in the finals, you have also the opportunity to do a best trick at the end.
Like all combined, who had the coolest trick?
Exactly.
Yes,
and
in the final.
And for many years, I felt like I was pushing myself a lot. But when I understood that this is about having fun, I think my mindset changed a lot. So now I'm more relaxed. And the same as you, I try to do only the things that I know that I can land.
Yeah.
This also helped a lot with the confidence.
Damn, I thought about that. I wasn't sure if you were going to say, I need to be super relaxed, or if you were going to say the exact opposite. Because I think if I was to do like any, or attempt, like what you do, attempt to do any of the tricks or jumps you do, I think I would want to do the exact opposite. Like if I went into that relaxed, like, nah, I'll go do something comfortable. I think I would need to like hype myself up.
Yeah.
But it's got to come down to like, you are probably pretty confident.
Yeah, it's a mix between of having adrenaline, being there with the people, like pushing you, and you have that moment to try it. But I think it's very important to connect with yourself and doing it just because you're having fun, more than trying to show to others the good you are. So I think that is the key point.
Yeah.
To have fun. Yeah.
What do you do to get good at it? Like, how do you train? How do you plan your
Yeah, well, I used to practice a lot CrossFit to be like very strong and also having more agility. But then I realized that I was being so hard with my body, and now I shift to yoga, and I practice yoga like 5 days per week. Wow. And now I'm feeling like much better because my muscles return to the right position.
Yeah. And
also we do a lot of training with breath work, and this is really helping me. And what do you do for training?
I try and be as all-around as I can. Okay. I think, because it is even though like it seems like a simple movement, push to the side or do a crossover, I still think it's so far from, walking, running. So just because you engage so many muscle groups in not natural ways, like it's a very weird thing to constantly push to the side. So I really try and obviously skate a ton, but also try and implement as many other things. Because like there's some aspects that are important in skating that you don't train as much as you can in other fields. Like biking, you can bike 30 hours a week, you're still going to be fine if you're trained for it. Or if you skate 30 hours a week, you're going to be wrecked. Yeah. So like I try and use biking a lot for the fitness. I try and use weightlifting as much as I can for like the peak power output, and then try and bring all these other elements in, and then hopefully create like a good skater in the end.
Yeah, it's like an experiment, right?
Yeah.
We try to different things to see how we work better.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about one thing. How is your community around skating? Because when you skate, you are just alone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For us, it's like we skate together, we have a contest together, we meet people from different countries. How is your community skating?
I honestly do envy that thing. Like I got the impression that the more like aggressive skating, freestyle skating, that there's this like nice vibe. Like, you see people laugh more. It gives this whole thing like we're there just to compete, just to beat the other people. But you have much more of a, hey, what's up? How's it going?
Like a family.
Yeah, and that's for sure the thing I envy. The only thing I do think is nice is that I've never felt like a direct kind of competitiveness against each other, because it is a time trial. Like you are racing yourself. But I honestly wish we had more of that. But I do, one thing I think can really help that is using social media to connect, to build bonds there. And even though on the rink we're so separated, we go out, have nice dinners with teammates. So it's like skating is a very individual thing to me, but it has created bonds so that my social life outside skating has, been strengthened. But we don't have that same, what it seems, maybe I'm wrong and you all hate each other, but it seems like you guys are having a good time while skating.
I also like a lot about your social media that you teach a lot to others how to skate, like how to bring people to the discipline, and this is so great. I really like it. And yes, for us, our community is not so big, but we skate together. I really like skating in the street in Barcelona, so we go with a group of friends, we try to film each other, and it's very fun. And that's the way we learn, like from the others and pushing us together. Yeah. So it's very fun. And then the contests are always like a party with the family. It's very fun. Everybody is like pushing their other, and it's very, very fun.
Thanks. That's the thing I think it's hard, but it's so important to hold on to that. I think for the last 8 years, skating's also been my job. And it's very, all right, we skate at the rink, we meet in at 8 in the morning, we skate till 11 in the morning, then we have a lunch break, and then we train from 4 to 6, either at the gym or bike ride. It's like very scheduled, and it's very, all right, today we're going to have this many minutes of that thing. And it becomes it can easily become boring, monotonous at times. So I do think if you don't hold on to like that social aspect of it, it can it can be really hard.
So what is the thing you like the most about your discipline? You can say like one thing.
One thing? I think it's the optimizing the details. I think 90% of all speed skaters, inline skaters, probably say like, oh, the speed. But I've never been super fond of that. But I do like that. I mean, if you haven't tried skating, it's hard to really feel. But I'm pretty sure all people know that feeling like that have skated, where you just figure some sort of efficiency out of it, where it feels like the speed is just creating itself because you're doing things right.
I would like to try that. Yeah. You have to teach me someday. Yeah.
How about you?
I think for me, what I like the most is to bring more people to skate. Yeah. So when I'm skating, when I'm traveling and I'm doing tricks, I always invite people that are watching me or they like it, like, or you always invite other girls to participate in contests. So that is what motivates me. So if you want to learn also, I really invite you. I can teach you some tricks.
You have extra knee pads.
Yeah. You can get one for you, of course.
All right. I mean, one final thing, because now we talk about all the good things. There's also bad times in skating.
That's
the more serious one, like, if we're fully honest, everybody would be good at skating. Like, everybody would be the best at skating if it was easy.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm sure you can relate to, like, there's also bad days, bad months, even bad years. What's your key to get through that and get back to
that's a really good question. And if I'm honest, for many years, I have been struggling a lot with the way I used to skate, because I always was pushing myself a lot, trying to show to others that I was worthy, that because I had a sponsor. Yeah. And I finally realized that when you just do it for yourself, not to show to others, you really get to enjoy. And if you don't do it well or right, it's fine, because it's part of the process of learning. At least this helped me a lot to understand and see my skating in a different way. And also doing a lot of meditation, breath work, to try to connect with the present.
Yeah.
So that really helped me a lot. What about for you?
I mean, in some ways, the same thing, like that thing connecting with the present. I've definitely had like a few rough times. I think it's one of the hardest parts about skating, especially time trials. There's no mercy. Like you get a time at the finish, the same rink every time. So you can always tell, well, I got worse or I got better. Like, it's so objective. And then I think I've tried twice in my life where I just went, I think once the latest was 2 entire years where like it didn't improve. Okay. And then somehow that kind of took the joy away of everything. Like, I felt like everything I put in just didn't improve. And I wanted to show that improvement. So a little like what you said. And then it does help me, or those times where I had like that, to get back to the present, like you said, where, well, now I don't care if I'm better than yesterday right now. I'll just try and skate well today. And then just try and remember, oh, we're doing this because it's fun. Like, at that point, if you only, all that I find fun is being better. So there's going to be a lot of times where you're not better than you just were. The better you get, the harder it is to get better. But I think that's been key for me to just, well, now I'm just here to skate. Like, why we all started skating a little. But I mean, it's easier said than done when you are in those periods that can be long. And like you said, there is the pressure from fans or sponsors or yourself that it's pretty hard to overcome. But I don't know, I try and always remind myself that the people that support me and myself, we all do it because, it's fun and it's exciting to follow that journey. And if elite sport, which is the given thing that like you're going to do better tomorrow, I also don't think we'd be in it. Like, we're in this because we give everything and then we have no insurance that it can work out.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't know if your sport this happened, but in my sport, in my discipline, I've seen many people quitting the sport because they were having like too much pressure from injuries, also from the bars they have set for themselves. So I think that is the point, the same as you, like enjoying the process.
Yeah. Well, that's a good reminder to end the whole thing.
Exactly.
Enjoy the process. Yeah. Man, thanks a lot for coming here, for kind of teaching me a little bit about freestyle skating, and it was very interesting to see your mental patterns and also like how you train different worlds. But somehow I felt like there's a lot of the things that I could either use or relate to.
Thank you, Victor. I really enjoyed it also, and I was very curious about learning about the speed skating and ice skating. I really would like to try it someday.
I'd be down.
Yes.
We got to do a
Yes.
sort of take each other for a skate at some point.
That's great.
See you next time.
See you next time. Yeah.
Hasta luego.